Hello, everyone. A good, happy Saturday to all of you. Assalamu alaikum and welcome again. This is the first episode of GD Connect. And in these episodes, we are going to help you connect with the amazing Google developer experts from throughout the world in different categories. And the whole idea is to ask different questions, sometimes difficult questions as well, that you folks bring to us, and then getting those answers, getting some clarity on where the tech is going, especially when it comes to Google technologies, and then how you can utilize all the experience that these GDs have, and how do they think, and how do they navigate between these tools, the tech, and yeah, getting ahead in our careers with all that knowledge that we get from them. So I'm going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Ahsan. I'm the host of this show, and I'm a software architect. I'm an author of a couple of books and a GD in AI and Angular. I'm right now based in Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm working as a software architect at Scania. So for the first time under Machine Learning Pakistan, this is happening. And this is awesome. Our goal is simple: to bridge the gap between the global AI ML and technologies become widely used when they are democratized. And I think ChatGPT was a really good example of it, when it came to everyone's pockets, basically. And that is the whole idea, for us as well, to just share that information with others. So today we have three brilliant minds with us, and I'm going to invite them one by one, and they are going to essentially introduce themselves. So first we have Kshitiz Rimal, who is a GD in AI ML from Nepal. He's also a founder and CEO of Next AI, and he has a deep passion for building AI solutions that have positive impact on the society. Welcome, Kshitiz.
Thank you so much. So yeah, like you said, I'm Kshitiz Rimal. So I think you covered most of the important bits already in my introduction. But apart from that, I've been at GDE since 2018,
Mhm.
and I was also one of the first GDE from Nepal altogether. And yeah, and so my background lies in AI, but mostly even in AI, it's about AI for good. So this is also one of the reason I got into AI. So yeah, my experience in edtech, particularly with generative AI, and how AI can be used in a positive way in our society. That be, like in disaster relief and response applications, education technology, in teaching and learning, and in overall how to support and uplift the society using AI.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of teaching and learning both. So I think this is going to be fun. Great. Next up, we have Mashhood, who's a really good friend of mine. He's basically one of the reasons I became a GD myself. So, Mashhood, you're a GD in machine learning. Now you focus on generative AI. Let's hear from you. What do you do today? What does your work look like? And what are you passionate about?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Essen, for inviting me again. Really love these conversations where we get to share a lot of amazing things with everyone. I think it's much needed. So I'm Mashhood. I am currently the head of engineering at this edtech called Talimabad. I'm based in Islamabad in Pakistan. Was one of the first Czech technical GDEs in Pakistan. Been doing this for about 8 years now. Have a huge respect for community, love for passion. We're going to be talking more about that later on. Um, my journey with AI started when I moved into Talimabad because that was the point where a lot of the AI was starting to take off, and I could see that this is a technology that will really influence how we perceive and build on education in the coming years. And I think it has been a pretty wild ride over the last 2 years where we've gone around trying to figure out how to do this, not just on a school level, but also all the way up to the policy level, on the government level to see, if you really want to have impact, you have to start from the top. So it's been pretty interesting so far.
That's awesome to hear. All right. The third guest that we have is Xihan. So, Xihan, welcome. You're also a GDE in machine learning, and you're an AI researcher. You have an academic background as well, and you're currently pursuing a PhD at the University College London. So, welcome. Can you share a bit about yourself? What do you do these days?
Thank you, and nice to see you. Yeah, I am Xihan Li, a PhD student, from University College London. Yeah, I'm also a Google developers expert in China since 2017. Yeah, I mainly work on AI for optimization, which means I use AI to solve challenging optimization problems in real world, such as logistic, supply chain, or mm, something like chip optimization or AI for science. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And over about an hour, we'll be diving into the future of AI. We are going to talk about the skills that everybody needs now. And especially since I'm from Pakistan, Mashhood's from Pakistan, we'll also have a perspective of, how Pakistan can carve out the place in this global AI situation and how we can grow as well. All right, let's set up the stage. So, yeah, the reality today is that the world of AI is moving at an incredible pace, and it feels like there's a groundbreaking thing every now and then. There are trends that are dominating. There's a different model or technique. We got A2A, we got MCP. Now there are even more protocols being generated. So I want to start with the big picture. So maybe Kshitiz, from you, looking towards at the end of, let's say, 2025 and beyond, what do you see as, let's say, one or two of the most dominant trends that come in AI ML, and which developers should basically pay attention to at all cost?
I mean, well, if you have asked me this question a couple of years ago, I could have picked one or two easily, right? And now, like you also mentioned, like there are so many amazing technologies and advancement being, like published every day or so, and but like I'll try to categorize what I think personally could be, like impactful and things we as a developer should watch out for, right? So okay, multimodalities, of course. Yeah, it's like no brainer right now, right? Like images, videos, audios, and whatnot. But I'm looking at the latest, like innovation from Google, like Genie 3 and such. They can generate, like 3D world with the AI model. I think that's fascinating, right? Like it's beyond just like what do you say, less dynamic pictures or videos, but it's more like interactive way how you communicate with AI to visualize the world around you, right? Like it's beyond video. So I'm really curious. I don't know like how it will pan out in the future, but it has huge potential. Like like gaming or like simulation and such, like it could reduce cost, like spark creativity. I mean, this is something that I'm really looking forward to. And in a way, I'm looking forward to how we as a public or even as a developer researcher can
Hmm.
quickly get our hands around it and play with it and come up with incredible applications with it. Like it's a very limited right now, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Another is like agentic but with voice. I mean, if you have seen the trend in 2025, everything is moving from text based agent to voice or even video, but voice has very like significant impact, like in all sort of businesses, right? Education, SMEs, and whatnot. And even in that sector, I'm looking forward to the regional languages that it can understand or talk to,
Mm,
like especially in context of Pakistan maybe, and even Nepal. Like we have like in Nepal we have so many regional languages right now. Nepali is one of the is the national language, but there are also like local regional languages. And I'm really looking forward to like how the AI evolution or development will catch up to even like address these kind of scenarios, right? And
mm,
more like agentic AI with voice is more towards perfection now. But this 3D world that I talked about, it's like a potential, and it's a new thing that we might see, in coming in 2026 or so. Yeah.
absolutely, and I agree, both from the perspective of giving the input and output. I was looking at this Discord server, the Gemini Discord server, and Tim from Google was demonstrating some applications which were crazy, like Sims. It was a Sim City simulation, and he could just spin up pedestrians going on the street, trees, and houses. I have the link. I'll share with the community later on, but it's crazy where we are going with multimodality. So towards Mashhood, you specialize with GenAI, and we've seen like the explosion of LLMs with image generation. We recently got Nano Banana, and the the social media got crazy with that. So, what do you think is the next step of the evolution here? Are we moving from like simple chatbots to something more integrated, more autonomous, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think before I answer that question, I want to bring up slightly the other side of how AI is right now being perceived in the world as well.
Hmm.
So I want to bring up two things, two statistics that were I think were very interesting. The first one was, so I was reading about how about 50% of all users, all online users in US are using ChatGPT now. And I think it's like a weekly metric or something. And they've been using it over the last year. So this is a end of 2024 metric, and they've been using it. But the point someone was trying to make was, where's the value generation in this? Where has like if there was so much value generation, why don't we see it in the GDP, for example? So that was a very interesting idea, that a very interesting thought that I've kind of been thinking about. Like, okay, so why isn't the economy is expanding much faster since we have generated so much value?
Mm,
The second one, which was also interesting, that was just done a few weeks ago by MIT, which was how 95% of the generative AI pilots within companies have started to fail.
mm,
Now, again, I don't want to spread too much doom and gloom. I think there is a lot of value being generated, and it is obvious. I use it myself, and it's an amazing technology. But I think one of the places where I think where we will start going more now, in terms of not the technology stuff, but just in terms of trying to understand, okay, what is the value that we're generating here?
mm,
And is it just, people generating content and summarizing content, stuff like that? Or is there actually productive stuff happening that is generating in real value in terms of GDP growth and stuff like that?
mm,
So that said, to answer the question, I think the way to do that, it's getting more and more obvious, is this term that was coined right in the start, which was the word co-pilot.
mm,
And what we want is, I think, at least in software engineering, we've seen some really great co-pilots come up. I think almost everyone uses Cursor now within integrated or with Cloud Code. Very great tooling. But if I say, let's say, an accountant, I haven't come across really great tools that an accountant would use or a lawyer would use. So I think those are the areas that are being explored right now, and having those agents integrated, understanding the context, helping them really do that 10x delivery. I think that's where the next stage of AI is.
mm. Yeah, I think it's like this new shiny toy that we have, but we haven't figured out yet what do we want to do with it, and we're still exploring the limits. But it's fascinating to see what your perspective is. So, from Shihan, I want your perspective as well, and you are someone who is at the front of AI research. So, from your perspective, beyond building bigger models, which everybody is now focusing on bigger and having more parameters, etc. What are some of the most interesting and challenging research problems that you are seeing in AI right now?
Yeah, so currently, yeah, everyone is mm, most of the people are focusing on large models, but yeah, I need to remind you that beyond those large models, actually there are still a lot of things that that we can do, and especially how to better use the current model's capacity to do um, to solve more challenging problems, and especially about scientific problems, I think. Yeah, so for example, the Alpha Evolve framework proposed from DeepMind, it relatively use large language models to refine, for example, a program, to refine it, iteratively refine it and to make it better and better, and then it can discover some very efficient algorithms that humans have not discovered before. And this is a very important direction, I think. And another one is to train some domain specific models. It is not necessary to be very huge, but it can perform very well on solving a specific kind of problems. For example, I have developed a generator model which is actually not very huge, but it can generate more optimal logical circuit in chip design, which can which can perform closely or even better than traditional optimization. So I think this is also a very important era in current AI research.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective. And sometimes you need to look into this bigger picture, which we are not really seeing with just working on, very focused or hyped tasks that everybody is following. So maybe just a follow up on this, what we have said, and I want each of you to answer briefly if you can. So with so much happening right now, I think one of the biggest confusion is what do we do? And that comes with the and also it's driven by hype quite a lot. So what is the one area in AI/ML that each of you think that is, let's say, overhyped, and what do you think is a bit underhyped that people should focus on a bit more, that holds massive potential? Maybe we can start from Shitish. So what do you think?
Yeah, so definitely as an AI developer and someone who involved in this field, I would say like a lot of the strength or hype or like the fascination towards AI comes from the fact that it can do X amount of work better than human or like faster than human or like it will make your life easier or something like that, right? I mean, it is true in a sense, but we have to see that it is in a way it's brittle. So the lens that we have to look towards AI is that okay, it has some potential and it can do some of the things that are amazingly good, but how human can interact with it, like how human comes in the loop, like in terms of the system design or architecture. Like this is something that we really overlooked while thinking about systems or applications or something like that. Whenever we see new model doing certain tasks so well, like let's say talking to another human in a realistic way possible or writing email or something like that, we immediately jump to this conclusion that okay, what am I going to do, right?
Hmm.
But there are limitations in all of that, right? Like it cannot always generate sound or audio that is acceptable to another human, right? And how we design the system itself so that we can interrupt or control or make it behave in a way that is beneficial to business, society, or the ecosystem it's a part of, right? So it
Hmm.
is not a solution that can be replaced with another solution or something like that. It's a component, right?
Hmm.
It's a really smart, really powerful component. It will make your life no doubt very easy, but you have to think how humans are, like how we as a human will design the system so that it interact well within our premise, and that is more beneficial to us. So it goes to text, images, audio, whatever. It all, it has limitation in all of that, so it's not 100% solution. So we just have to find our way where as a human we play as a decision maker, that is very crucial, and amplify our impact.
Fantastic. So I think we should be skeptical and just, test the limits on what it
Yeah.
can do. Interesting. Moving to Mashhood, and I'm combining a question that is asked from Danny, who is also an amazing friend and a GD as well. He's asking the AI, or he's saying the AI works today, but the companies don't really. And what is the one way to make it profitable, not only to get hype, but actually an investment? So maybe linking to the question that we have right now, what do you think is one thing that's underhyped that companies are not really utilizing as much if they want to really invest in?
Yeah, I think for me, the my favorite thing that is underhyped right now are small language models.
Mm,
And just this week, Gemma announced the compact 270 million model. I have already deployed multiple small models on phones and laptops to see how the performance is. Um, this is a space I think that will catch up because right now the biggest bottleneck for most people, especially those of us who are using it heavily, is the limits. Every day I'll run into limits for Claude and then ChatGPT and then Replit. And I'm like, I don't need to do this. I can use computer on my own machine and I can, if I have the right model configured the right way, even on my phone, right? So I think I really love the fact that Gemma has been focusing on this, and I think their models are very good. And the latest one, I'm looking forward to trying that out on my phone as well very soon. But I think the technology to definitely look at is small language models, because as we start making these models very, very good,
mm.
it is very natural for them to kind of flow downwards.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And this is something I did not know, so I'm going to start looking into that as well. Nice. Thank you for sharing. Moving to Shihan, and maybe we can combine this question from Muhammad Bakhtawar as well. As a college student aspiring to build a career in AI ML, which core skills and foundational areas should I prioritize during the academic journey to stay relevant and competitive in this rapidly evolving field? I think the question also reflects that we need the core knowledge, but then also how does it stay relevant with the academia and then also maybe jobs as well? So what do you think, Shihan?
Yeah, I think firstly, you need to have very solid programming skills. That does not only means that you can write code fast, efficient, but it also means that actually you truly understand the from the frontier models, the advanced model, how it works, and you have the capability to somehow re-implement those model. For example, you can handcrafted a simple transformer model. That does not mean that in reality you are using some handcrafted model, but you need to have such a capability. Yeah, this is very important, I think, especially when you are going to do some sort of research and need to I need to improve some existing algorithm. Yeah, then it would be very important. And also, if you wanna combine your research and industrial, for example, you want to find a job in maybe in maybe AI companies, or something like this, then yeah you might need to think about how your improved algorithms can contribute to the real world. For example, maybe for example, I am working for AI for optimization. So sometimes I will think about will my research work really contribute to some industries? Yeah, so I would prioritize those which have some real impacts. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm, for example, for chip optimization, actually I'm working on this, and actually, if I have a good result, then it can be somehow directly deployed to some chip design companies, and they can benefit from more optimized chip design, or something like that. So when you're doing research, you may also think about how my research can contribute to the society.
That's awesome, and it's really nice that we have you here, Xian, because I can see there's a difference of approach between someone who is a researcher in the society and then also someone who is doing a regular job on how they can contribute. So it's really nice to have your perspective. And building on top of it, I'm gonna go to Mashhood. So just on the same topic, if from a perspective of getting jobs and being globally competitive, what do you think should someone who's learning in Pakistan or globally anywhere should focus on? What should be those things?
Yeah, I think this is like the most scariest time, at least as software engineers, to kind of navigate through all of the stuff that's happening. There's so much noise, and I think we're very fortunate. There are some really great folks out there who've been sharing some of these structures, and I think the general theme is experimentation because the technology hasn't kind of matured yet. We're still on that pace where it's getting better day by day. So it's very hard to understand. Okay, this is where we're at today. And usually, that's what I've been pushing my teams to do is that you have to go out and try out those new tools coming out. You have to try out the latest models. You have to push them and see what sort of results you're getting. I'll give you an example. So this is something we're still trying. We haven't gotten there yet. So we have an education platform that serves teachers, and then teachers obviously give us feedback, which comes into another ticketing system. And right now, traditionally, you would have a ticketing system that maybe the QA team would take over. They would try to reproduce the bug, and somebody would create a ticket for engineering. They could fix it. Now we just say, okay, let's give it to Codex and see what it does. And maybe we'll just solve the problem before even somebody tries reproducing it. So it's just stuff like that that is just so crazy now that you can try out. That's where I think it's very, 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 very important. So spending time in experimentation, building the core, like I feel people take prompt engineering very lightly. They don't really think about context. They don't really think about how do you structure the request properly? How do you make sure that it's not, you're not going to repeat the same thing and hopefully get a different result. You may have to attack it from different angles. So those are some of the things that I think are very important. If there's one more skill I want to add to this, that would be ML ops. I think
Hmm.
just like DevOps has been a great field, I think ML ops is going to be one of the fields that's going to be even more popular in the future as more and more models come in, and everybody will be deploying these models themselves. So those are some of the things I would definitely push people towards.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome, and I hope the viewers can get help from this, because the core concepts plus the trending, I would say, opportunities that are arising in the industry. One has to see them, but you can't really leave the core approaches like prompt engineering, as you said. And there's a reason why Google and Anthropic and other companies are actually coming out every time with these techniques. Even for Nano Banana, we saw that there was a prompt engineering guide for Nano Banana released. So amazing point, Mashhood. I want to move towards a different side with Kshitiz, because you are a CEO as well. I want to pick your brain on the non-technical side of things that people should focus on. We often focus on like code, shipping into production, but what about the skills like problem formulation, critical thinking, ethical considerations of the AI? I remember that back in the days, even when studying computer science, we used to write with pencil and paper, the pseudo algorithms before actually implementing code. So how do you think that these things like critical thinking, problem formulation, and ethical considerations for AI are important for career growth? What do you think?
I think it's more important than ever, and there are like couple of things. Like I would like to link this to the evolution of technology itself, right? So when we were studying maybe, and we had to write everything down from pencil paper, and then code the way up and implement the algorithm and run the program and such. Now we are at the phase in our like a technological advancement and such, that we can think of a solution or the approach, and then we can simply talk to the AI, right, in a natural way possible. And like if like there are many if and buts, but like let's assume that AI understood what we were talking about and it formulated a solution for us. Now the question lies, were we like good enough in terms of laying out those problems to the AI? Like, are we thinking in a holistic way? Like, so like you mentioned, like the critical thinking part and the system design part. I think now we are heading to the like point in our time where now as a human we have to really sharpen our brain. Like, if this kind of solution will really help in business operation or technological advancement and such, and we can now easily move beyond the lower implementation to more abstract formulation, right? So whenever you move to a decision making point or the abstraction, you have to understand, like, okay, what are the edge cases
Hmm.
where this kind of approach will fail. And this is where even now AI will not readily help us, and this is where we as a human can add value and add context. Hey, look out for this, look out for that, and then help me out figure out my algorithm or my system design. It's more like I think Masood mentioned earlier, like it's like co-pilot way, right? Like you are pairing up with AI and you are having a two-way conversation, and you are laying out your problem and the AI talks back, and you then again add more input. And with this communication, with this conversation, like finally you come to a solution that works for you. Now here the important part is you are the decision maker, you are the evaluator, not
Mhm.
the AI. AI has its limitation. AI can only think or behave or like give you outward to a point, not beyond that. And now you need to play, like how I can get what I want from AI with a different kind of input, different kind of behavioral, like a conversation and such. So yeah, it's not only for the business owner or like the decision maker. It's also like very crucial to the students and newcomers as well. Like when you pick a profession that is not like AI development, but like even in technology, you are maybe a full stack developer or something like that. Now with AI you can create a lot of solutions, right? Like with Anthropic Cloud or Gemini 2.5 Pro, you
Mhm.
can generate code that are really good. But now the uh, point of view you have to adapt is, okay, I am good at this, AI is good at many things.
Mhm.
How I can AI so that I can learn beyond my skill, but at the same time, generate the output that I can control and beneficial to me. So in a way, it's scary. In a way, it's also beneficial. Now suddenly you don't have to limit yourself to a one profession, even in technology field. You know, if you are a front end developer, you can easily have a good conversation, meaningful conversation with the new AI agents and learn about full stack, database, backend, and whatnot, and generate the solution to give order to the AI. Hey, generate me this full stack application. More towards like, okay, I want to generate full stack development application. My expertise lies in front end. Help me
Mm.
understand that. Now you are like really crossing the border of your own expertise with AI. So I think this is applicable to technical, non-technical, and communicate with AI. It's the crucial part, and keeping in mind what you really want, not the technical part, but like the objective part, you know. So this is crucial, I think.
Hmm. Absolutely, that's fantastic. And yeah, thinking that really, really helps in a broader sense as well. Now that I think about it, but I'm shifting gears a bit. So let's talk about the GDE program, because I think one of the best ways to be at the forefront of technologies is to either follow the people who are doing those things, being involved in communities, or be passionate enough to do it yourself. So I want to go to Mashhood, and basically, that GDE, um, you know when we talk about GDEs, you were the second person to become a GDE from Pakistan. And then now we have a lot more, of course, all those amazing people. And we know that the community and contributions is the heart of the program itself. So, how do you think just being part of the community helped you in your career and your ambitions? And why should developers in Pakistan or anywhere in the world actively participate in local and online communities?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question because I feel, at least in Pakistan, our communities are not as progressive as the ones I have experienced, at least in London and other places. Um, I think the biggest value you get from me personally is just having that network and having those people to go and talk to and get ideas from, because we can argue about we can do lots of cool things, but essentially when it comes to really making some real innovation, some really creative stuff, then it's mostly about talking to other people and getting ideas from them and figuring out, oh, these are the dots that connect, and that's how you move forward. Um, but with networking, you also get other stuff. You get a lot of opportunities, access to opportunities. I think that has definitely worked on for me. I've learned a lot of new stuff from communities. So I sometimes I'll randomly go to like a WordPress meetup or an AWS meetup. Not something I'd use, but just sitting there talking to people, how they're doing stuff, how they're deploying. I'll definitely always learn something new. And I think this is also for me a chance to give back. And I think this is one of the places where I feel we need most work, at least here in Pakistan, where the more experienced folks tend to stay in the background and they don't come out and share stuff. They don't come out and mentor stuff. There are a few people, but I think it's very small compared to the population size we have. And I think just giving back to the community and uplifting them as a whole, I think that's a very critical part that the community serves as well.
Mm, absolutely, yes. And I personally, I it has helped me quite a lot, especially when learning Angular, when growing as a developer, and especially it helped quite a lot. Just proving to Google that I can be a GD. I think that was really, really helpful. Just the communities being there and being able to contribute to that. But I also want to take your perspective, Kshitiz. So, could you share a story about any project that you worked where you faced significant challenges, and what you learned from it? And being a GD, did that help? Did the network help? Did the forums help with that?
Yeah, thank you. I think I have a couple of those stories, and GD definitely helped me with the like getting through it. But I like to share one of the earliest projects that I did, and it's about AI for social good, and it's also about like how AI can help the like underrepresented community and especially visually impaired individuals. So
Hmm.
back in the day, I created a project called Cast Impaired, and it's a mouthful of name, but the idea here is that in Nepal, like the paper currency that we have right now, it's not very friendly towards visually impaired individuals. It doesn't have the braille script and such. So
Hmm.
that gave the community very like a difficulty, like in terms of doing day-to-day financial activities, whether it's going through the public bus or whatever, right? And doing transaction, you have to ask around people you're sitting next to for the financial
Hmm.
transaction and such. So I came up with I came up with this idea of having a TF light, TensorFlow light model that understand the images and plays the sound, signifying the amount they are holding. And while doing the research and such, I came like I always thought like how they like visually embed community smartphones with touch screen with no keypad and such, but interestingly that they are like a pro user of these smartphones. They have the screen reader program and they are doing it every day. That gave me a lot of confidence, like okay, I can create an application that can run in the smartphone, and if somehow I can provide this feedback of audio they can interact with, that will really help. And while developing this solution, the problem was that okay, in Nepal, in a rural part of Nepal, especially not in the cities, internet was a problem, and it's still in some part of the like Nepal right now. So I try to create a solution that works offline, that works on device.
Mm,
So that was the biggest challenge for me. And while doing my research, a lot of like folks from the GD community helped me how to get started with the TF Lite and how to do the end-to-end application. Also, like it gave me the exposure that I needed to raise the funds for research and to reach towards the community that could really affect positively with such kind of solutions. So yeah, this is something that I value so much in GD program. Not that what I can do to the community. Of course, if you are an expert in your domain, you can go to the event, talk about it, inspire others, or share your knowledge. But also, like everyone has limitations, right? Even you as an expert. So every now and then you need to seek out to other who are doing things in the field and get advice. And this is where GDE program really help, like with the like it gives you the exposure to connect with other experts who are doing certain things in a better way, or like
mm.
that you can inspire from. And yeah, this is something that I really like to that I really value with this.
That's awesome. These stories are so pleasant and basically teach you where the opportunities lie and how you can use the technology. So thank you for sharing. Shihan, you have a global perspective, and I want to know from your perspective what are some of the most innovative industry practices that you've seen when it comes to applying AI, and what is the one thing that you would suggest to someone who wants to become a GDE, for example?
Yeah, so for the innovative application, actually, what I have seen is something like applying reinforcement learning. Actually, the models does not need to be super huge, but yeah, just like some sort of models like AlphaGo. So yeah, apply such techniques to solve some real world problems such as logistics and maybe financial investment and maybe supply chain management something like this. Some of them are very successful, some of them are not, but all of them I think are very exciting trial to solve some real world challenges beyond simple board games. Yeah, so, and for the suggestions for becoming a GDE, actually, what I will suggest is that you need to be more contributive to the technical community. For example, delivering talks or open sourcing your code and maybe writing blogs. Actually, these are more important than your expertise. Actually, you need to be willing to share your technical things, and you need to I want to share this to others. I want to benefit others. I
Hmm.
think this is a very important aspect of becoming a GDE.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And just to bring the conversation towards home, and I'm going to ask you a follow up question, Shihan. So when talking about Pakistan, we have immense talent. There are so many people doing amazing stuff. For example, we have Uplift AI, who's doing amazing stuff as well. We have other companies also innovating with AI and whatnot. The key question is, how do we channel this talent? And since you have an international viewpoint, what do you think are the biggest opportunities for a country like Pakistan to contribute to the global AI scene? And which niche areas should we focus on? Because you mentioned for being a GDE, for example, we have articles that person can post, we have open source contributions, and usually the question is, you know, where do I start? And there's a funny thing with human psychology. I'm not sure how many of you would agree that if someone from Pakistan would advise people of Pakistan something, they would not take that seriously. They would be like, "Who's this guy? He's just one of us." Well, when someone from outside would suggest the same thing, they value more. So that's why I want to pick your brains, Shihan and Kshitiz as well. So, Shihan, what do you think is that niche that people should be looking at for contributions?
Actually, what I believe is that, yeah, because I had both experience, yeah, in AI and many other, yeah, industrial perspective. So I believe that the AI community is actually much more open, yeah, compared with other domains such as like financial things and like that. So actually in the field of AI, so it is not so important where you come from. Yeah, I have seen a lot of papers, a lot of good papers. Some of them, yeah, are from very good, yeah, universities, and some of them from, yeah, some universities I have never, yeah, has thought about. So yeah, I don't know them before, but I, from a very personal perspective, I will not care about that. And I think it is also true for many of my, yeah, other colleagues and, yeah, classmates. Yeah. And so I believe if you are going to, yeah, be in the community of AI, then I don't think, yeah, you're in a you're in a small country or something like it is a very important issue. But yeah, but maybe sometimes you may find that it is harder, yeah, to get resources, yeah, in maybe in a small country. Then in such a case, you might need to think about some alternative ways, yeah, such as working on some more cost-effective researches. Yeah, maybe, yeah, turn to, yeah, um, find some, yeah, support. Yeah, maybe you. I'm not super sure about it, but at least I think, yeah, in the AI community, yeah, people from, yeah, maybe small countries still have, yeah, a lot of chance. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like the talent pool, it's huge. People are passionate about working with AI as well. And as Shitish also mentioned, and that was a brilliant use case that you shared, Shitish, that you needed to have something offline, something that doesn't really uh, cost a lot of performance or power. As well with not so advanced phones as well. I think that was a really good example, and that is something also that we could look at because we have the same problem in Pakistan, at least in a lot of areas which are not as developed. But I want to pick your brain more, Shitish. What do you think when it comes to the academia or the universities, from your perspective? What should they change in terms of, let's say, their curriculum, for example, and then also the companies as well? So there's the flow. The usual flow is we have students coming out of universities going into companies. So if you could briefly say, let's say, one thing that you would want to impact in universities and one thing that companies should be doing to have an amazing global AI talent pool, what would that be?
I think the story of like Southeast Asian countries are, I think, very much similar. Like in fact, I can relate to a lot of things that you just said, about Pakistan to Nepal or other, we are neighboring countries, so we might have a similar culture and like the way we like behave in our society, or how our society are positioned, like something like that. The tricky part here is like in terms of like also Shihan earlier mentioned, the limitation in resources and such. So what I think, and where we can be clever and we can really extract value is that uh, like academia is one thing. It has its own way of going towards the end, like from the first year student to the last year student. When you have a bachelor's degree for 4 years or something like that, right? So they might update the curriculum with more modern or more up-to-date materials. But I think what will be more valuable to our countries is that we provide hands-on experience early on. So like when they involved, when the students they join the academia, when they involve themselves in the businesses or the industry in some way or another, from like let's say first semester or something like that, they they might they might don't have the expertise to reach the top very quickly, but at the same time they will develop understanding and how like how to formulate problems, how to deal with society. So sometimes when you engage too much in academia, you cut off the outer world and you try to formulate the solution in terms of how you have been like fed into, like in a vacuum or something like that. And a lot of the papers that we see are so advanced, so good, but at the same time doesn't really impact much in the real world for like problems that are so silly.
Hmm.
That's the disjoint, like when we look at it, like the academia and the industry. So when a student engage early on in industry and try to like understand the society problem formulation and such, as they progress with academia, they develop solution that really works in outer world, rather than what the next advancement I can bring to the table. They will think like, okay, if I provide my solution, if I reframe my research towards this will quickly benefit the society early on and something like that. So it's more like exposure to the outer world and
Hmm.
the industry that we need to provide to these students. And also, like I also mentioned earlier, like the community we have, the society, the country we are living in, we are resource restricted in a lot of ways. So we have to come up with clever solutions that might not the bigger corporations or the model providers will think or like develop more readily, like multilingual solutions that
Hmm.
really works for us. And maybe Google or OpenAI or some other big tech might not bother in developing such solutions. So as a academia and both as a industry, we have to provide solutions around that, like how exactly this fit into our use case, how exactly this model captures the nuances that we are living in, or maybe like enhance our lifestyle that
Hmm.
might not, the latest models from Google and OpenAI, they are really good and they are really solving problems in the Western world where things are maybe behave slightly differently than here in back home.
Hmm.
So we have to come up with, okay, this is the bridge that we need to develop. This is the understanding as a student they have to develop early on, and this is the direction as academia we need to move towards: low resource models, low compute taking models, multilingual multimodalities in such areas and such. So yeah.
Hmm. Awesome. Yeah, and I agree. You brought up some interesting points. Uh, we need to have, first of all, exposure with the community or the global ecosystem, and then also improving based on our needs. And I think Mashhood and the team from Mashhood at Talimabad are tackling one of those problems by modernizing education and changing how yeah, how we check exams, how we mark them, and making that process really smooth. So that's amazing. But Mashhood, from your side, since you in the past you have been deeply connected with local ecosystem, I believe you are still doing that quite a lot. What is the single most thing that you think our developer community should do? And those could be, students in universities, they could be GDG, they could be other societies. What do you think that they could do right now to, accelerate the growth and have sort of a global visibility? Because sparking those conversations would basically initiate ideas, and then maybe would lead to some execution as well. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, the thing that excites me the most is we're almost heading towards a complete reset of the system, because the way AI is coming in, a lot of the ways we create software, we use software, they're all changing. And what this means is that we have a level playing field once more, and it's all up for grabs. I would argue there's very little things in that we don't have over here. Like, all you generally need is a computer and an internet connection to do most things, right? So I feel sometimes as a community we tend to get stuck on very basic things, and I what I would love for people to encourage is kind of go beyond that. Take us Stop taking the status quo forward and really start taking a step back and saying, "Oh, look, there's an entirely new way of doing stuff." And I want to give an example over here because this is something I'm actually doing this week. I just did it. So normally this whole product development lifecycle has been mostly around this process where you go to the customer, you interview them, you come back, you create some specs, you give it to the engineer, you solve their problem, and then you go back to them, stuff like that. I have been literally spending the whole day at one of our, it's in a town about a few hours away from here. And all day I just sit in their office. And what I actually do is I ask them to give me their work, because I don't want to ask them about their problem. They have a huge list of problems. But what I actually do is I sit there, and when I'm doing his work, I actually solve the problem for myself now because I'm doing his work. And then when I present him the solution, it's like, hey, look, I made something, because it's all based on Replit and prototyping. It's a whole new different way of working, but
Hmm.
you really have to kind of take a step back and do that. So I think that's what I'm going to pushing more people to do. um, Build stuff, build lots of stuff, but also don't do it the traditional way. Think of stuff that's more creative, and I think this is a great chance to really create that space, our own corner, because everything is shifting right now, and this is the time to move.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I think I was one of those people who would always think, okay, if I use AI, it's not my code, and I had that ego issue as well. But with these tools, like I've started using Jules from Google for the async tasks and just creating small PRs because I know how to do it. Why should I waste my time writing that code when AI can do it for me?
Yeah.
And I completely agree. The norms would have to change and people would have to adapt as well. Now that we are moving towards the end of the podcast, let's think about something that's really, really important. So this has been an insightful hour, to be honest, and I'm really glad to have all of you. We've covered the trends, we've covered the essential skills, the power of the community as well, how to think to move forward, especially in Pakistan as well. But before we wrap up, I'd like to ask each one of you for, let's say, a final piece of advice. Um, we can phrase it like a single actionable tip that someone could do today. And also I would say, since they are listening to you folks who are excellent in AI ML, you have amazing careers as well. I think everybody wants to go to that next level. So if you can give your actionable items today, I think that's going to be very beneficial. So maybe we can start from Shihan. What would be one tip that you think people can do today to accelerate their career growth?
Yeah, so if you wanna, for example, if you're a student and wanna work for AI research or want to know more about AI, then the first thing you need to do is to try to understand clearly about the transformer model. Yeah, actually, if I can only select one model that you need to learn in the today's AI, so that should be the transformer model. Yeah. So actually, there is a very good blog post called the Illustrated GPT-2. Yeah, which I will recommend you to read right now. Yeah. So it very clearly represents how a transformer model works. And yeah, you you can start work today, yeah, to try to understand the transformer model, which is the foundation, yeah, of today's AI research.
That's awesome. I've quickly Googled it and I've bookmarked it as well. So I'm sharing with everyone on screen. Thank you so much for sharing, Shihan. So, Shitish, maybe from your side as well, what would be that one tip that you think people could start doing today?
Well, to put it very simply, and I don't know if I could put it very simply, but understand AI, understand the limitations of LLMs, and then be the problem solver. I think that is applicable to technical and non-technical person both. So yeah, you have to, like, there is no way around AI now. You have to understand how it works, maybe from a different lenses. If you're a developer, like Xihan mentioned, transformer architecture and the inner workings and such. If you're not a developer, you then again needs to know like how the LLMs behave, what's the limitation, what's the gotchas of such, and then be the problem solver, because we are at the right point in time where we can think beyond the limitation of technology and more towards the solution of changing the society. So yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. And Mashhood, what do you think? What can people do today?
Yeah, I think my advice is towards more towards software engineers because I've been working in their community the most, and I feel that this is the time where we have to get out of our bubble, and I think both uh, uh, advice is given so far. I think building that technical debt about is very important, but also going beyond that because uh, if I've learned anything this week by sitting at the clients and prototyping stuff in their office and giving them the solution was that software engineering was definitely there, but so was product, so was maybe understanding of operations, maybe understanding of finance. So I think as we have these tools that can help us achieve more, I would recommend more people to kind of broaden their base and start building skills in other areas as well, because they will definitely complement when you're using everything together.
Hmm, absolutely, I agree. And uh, it's really nice to see these tips. I think from a fresher's perspective, because oftentimes you don't get to take that first step at all, and you're so shy. You don't have a community to work with. So I hope these tips will really help the audience that are watching today. So before we wrap up, I think we're gonna take some questions from the chat. We have only a few, so maybe we can first go towards Shihan. So one question is from Sudes. He says he's a fifth semester BS Artificial Intelligence student. He's currently working on different local models, some of which are real projects for PhD researchers, which is awesome. However, he's facing limitations in terms of resources, like having an experienced mentor and other support. So he's asking, what do you guys suggest for me? I think I can also maybe rephrase it to say who he can reach out. Would GDEs be one of the peoples that the person could reach out? What do you think?
Yeah, so actually, yeah, mm, not only this student, but actually many of students, including me, are facing such a problem. So, for example, my supervisor is super busy. Yeah, and also in even in a good university such as in University College London, actually they do not have much resources about GPUs. So most of the time you have to deal with such limitations. Yeah, by yourself, and you need to have some some clever ways. And let me say it very frankly from my own experience. uh, for example, I will try to get some for example, second-hand GPUs, yeah, such as 4090s, yeah, which is very cost efficient, yeah, and try to guess maybe a couple of them, at least one or two of them in a cheap way, and yeah, and actually I try to build my own computers. Yeah, I buy some some of them are first hand, some of them are second hand, and I try to build it up together. Yeah. So and also you can try to use some free or at least cheap resources on the internet. Yeah, for
Hmm.
example, the collab. Yeah, I think Google's collab is a very very good product. It is free, and or you can pay for a very small amount of money for to get some really decent computational resources. Yeah, you need to get you need to try that if you haven't. Yeah, and also about about the mentoring. Yeah, actually, I believe even if your supervisor is not so busy, sometimes they are not very good at the very cutting edge techniques. Yeah, because most of the time they get for example, professor positions very long time ago. Yeah, so in such a case, you need to learn to learn to get resources from the internet, like all of us do. Yeah,
Hmm.
so especially you can try to use such as Gemini or something like this to to use them to for example give you some sort of advice or something. Actually, I extensively use the Gemini's deep research to help me structure some for example I do not have a clear understanding of some field, and I let deep research to at least give me a glance of the field or something like this. Yeah, you need to try to leverage such resources, and most of the time it is not super expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many free resources available. If someone is searching for those, like I do, you end up with so many things that you wouldn't even have time to cover all of them. But they are available. I think that's what matters. Cool. We also have another question from the chat. Maybe Shitish, you can take this one. So Ali Asghar, who's a very active community member, he's asking, my question is that should web developers utilize machine learning or web using TensorFlow JS? And what's the future of AI ML models on the web on the primary backend WebGL as well as CPU based backends?
I think that's a very interesting question. So I think last month I was in China for this Connect IO, Google Connect IO China, and there was this booth on Web AI, and this particularly addressed question like now the TensorFlow JS and whatnot, like everything is also moving towards client side than the like a backend side. So I think the future is really bright in that regard. Like it's heading towards multilingual, multimodalities, like like the post detection and such, and they are getting very efficient. Like you can create like array of abstract ideas into reality with this new technology. And I think the Zema model that is open source also like heading towards the client side. So there is this limit, like like the future ahead is really bright. And I'm not sure what he means by like should web developers utilize ML on the web. So if it's about the application, of course, like the way I see it, the bottleneck or the limitation that we have right now in terms of browsers or how we run such applications, they will be solved in a faster way, and like in a more compute efficient way than we expect. It's not linear; it's more exponential. So, like if you are thinking about like generating code for front end, Of course, we know like the solution is there when you can collaborate with AI agent and create a solution that works for you. And also, if you're a developer and trying to, like incorporate AI features into your applications, of course there is this. And so, yeah, I don't like if you are into front end, client side, JavaScript, TypeScript, and such, and if you're looking for solutions, web AI is things you should look into. And I think um, there are like really good articles out there and YouTube videos that addresses this very well right
Hmm.
now. So it's cutting edge right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that I also noticed, Shitish, please correct me if I'm wrong. There was a discussion going on where if one application is using an AI model on the web, which works offline, so you download it in your browser and then you work on it. Today, I think what happens is that you sometimes you have it downloaded multiple times for different websites, but that's also being unified in a way that if it's downloaded for one website and another one uses it, then you don't have to do it, which would save some time. Is that right?
Yeah, like if it's a default based models, yeah, that could be so. But if the model is fine tuned and like a specific purpose, then you might need to re-download or like have multiple instances of such. But let's say like the model is directly from the single provider or something like that, that could be it. Yeah.
That's nice. All right. Final question for Mashhood, I think. So this is should someone who's new to AI learn AI ML by taking the problem and finding a solution for it, or before it learn all the attributes of AI and ML first? I assume that's the classic question of learning theory before actually implementing or trying out the tools. What do you think?
Yeah. I think the first thing, and a lot of people ask me this question nowadays because there has been greater interest in the field of AI. And my recommendation is that you have to first target where you're getting at, right? Because uh, there is an AI engineer or a machine learning researcher who is building foundational models, who is training neural nets, who is doing a lot of complicated math stuff. Um, Most people don't want to be that person, right? They are people who generally want to consume AI, consume models, maybe at most fine tune them. All of these things don't actually require you to go and start with maybe statistics and then start building from there. So I would recommend for for most people who are engineers already, they're looking to dive into ML. Start with the application. Start with using, understanding use cases, and then you can dive a little bit into stuff like fine tuning open source models, and that should get you most of the way. Building RAG systems, stuff like that. It's all very practical. I don't think there's too much theory over there. So yeah, that's how I've been sharing my thoughts on this.
That's awesome. Are there any books that you would recommend to the viewers to start learning ML? Because I know we have like Perplexity or Google search or AI tools, which I use all the time now, but I can't think of a time where we can get rid of the books. That's my perception. But maybe from Shihan we can start. Is there any book that you think our viewers should start viewing or reading today?
Actually, I have written a book called the Concise Handbook of TensorFlow 2, so which you can also access online. So maybe this can serve as a start. And actually, I think the concept in it is yeah, it is not only applied to TensorFlow, but you can also apply to something like PyTorch. And actually, in this book, in the last page of the book, it also recommends some other resources for you, especially especially about the blog post that I have mentioned earlier. Yeah, the illustrated GPT-2. Actually, I think that is a very good resources for you to learn, especially about the transformer models. Yeah.
Hmm, awesome. How about you, Shitish?
Not the book, but the website, deeplearning.ai. I think it's the go-to website everyone should reach out to. It has short courses, specializations, The short courses I think are still free and very effective. They are like 1 hour long, so it gets you really up to speed with certain concepts and ideas. So I highly recommend that website.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to bookmark that again, I think. How about you, Mashhood?
Yeah, I don't think I've read any books on AIML. For me, I think in terms of learning nowadays, if I want to learn anything, the go-to tool is Notebook LM,
Mhm.
and I will spend maybe a few hours on just collecting resources, links, and it does most of the work. Maybe some books, maybe some PDFs, just throw everything in there, and then it will just help out, answer questions, explain stuff to me very well. So that's the one I use for learning new things.
That's an awesome recommendation. I can't get enough of it, to be honest. Amazing product by Google. Alrighty, so that wraps up this podcast for today. Thank you, Kshitiz, Mashhood, and Xihan for joining. And to the audience, again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the comments that you have shared and all the likes that you have given to the streams as well. This was the first episode of the GD Connect, and again, the conversation doesn't really end here. We encourage you to discuss the things that we have discussed today or the ideas shared today, and just discuss with your friends, your colleagues, your batchmates about what the global AI/ML skills are there that you should be focusing on and what we should prioritize as well. And also, you can share your comments and your thoughts on social media by just tagging us and using the hashtag GDE Connect PK. And yeah, stay tuned with us. If you have not joined the WhatsApp community, you can just find it pretty easily. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn and I can share that with you as well. We have over 800 people in Machine Learning Pakistan's WhatsApp group, and more people are joining as well. With that said, thank you, all the GDEs that have joined us today. It was really nice talking to all of you. It's also pretty nice to actually see you even online, because it's very rare that you meet all the amazing people in one place, in one conference, so to say. So, with that said, I'm going to share on my social media a feedback sort of form for this podcast as well, which also contains all the links that our GDs have shared today or talked about today. So I'm going to ensure that the links are updated in that survey form as well. And I'm also going to share all the socials of these amazing folks as well. With that said, thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to see you